Hi everyone, Mike White here. Welcome to this week's blog post. We've talked for the last few posts and the last couple of meetings that we've had and the conversations I've had with my client about potential inflation and the challenges to the rate market because of inflation challenges. The conversations the Fed has had with the markets, talking about how it perceives this inflation as being temporary. And again, we've talked about the fact that the markets don't like to fight the Fed. The Fed has unlimited buying power and can run anybody out of the markets that it wants to. But more inflation news comes in and prices keep climbing. And despite what metrics you want to use, you can exclude food and energy and housing and rents and try to manipulate all the things that you'd like to do with the data. You can talk about this being transitory and being a supply chain issue, and that once the people go back to work from coronavirus, that they're going to mitigate all the supply chain issues, and we're going to see prices return back to quote whatever normal was. And I think that the transitory argument started to get some holes punched in it. And I think the Fed started to face some of the facts that the numbers, the data is real. It's very real. And that the transitory argument is not maybe as strong or as believable to some aspects of the population or the markets who are actually feeling the pain of higher prices. And I think we all can look at that. And I think that what happened in the markets yesterday and what may continue to happen this morning is just proof that, Fed announcements are largely unimportant until they're important. And yesterday, the language turned out to be very important because we set the stage and say, okay, the facts were whatever the facts were going into the meeting. Before the Fed announcement, I looked, and the MBS 30-year 2.5% coupon stood at 103.38, and it was up 2 basis points on the day, nothing major, but it was just cruising along. And right after word came out about the Fed minutes and the discussion, the press conference that was held after that, we saw that the 30-year 2.5% coupon was down 44 basis points at 102.92. And to make matters worse, we closed down on the day 59 basis points at 102.77. The 10-year Treasury was also on the move. Before the announcement, it was down 1 basis point on the day, and it stood at 1.4870. And after, it moved up plus 6 basis points to 156. And it closed up 8 basis points for the day at 1.510. And again, I hate to throw numbers at you, whatever, but statistically, they're important. That this move shows that the market read into the comments where the Fed acknowledged that, yeah, inflation was higher, and significantly higher than its targeted rate. It's still hanging on to the conversation about it being transitory, but the acknowledgement that in their eyes, it's more than 1% higher than their target rate. With all the stripping out of important things, it becomes clear to the markets at some point they pull away the punch bowl. And it may not be today, tomorrow, next week, next month. But it is going to happen, and we have to start facing the facts that even right now, we have no idea how much the Fed is buying, because now they've changed their language. They don't even show you what they're buying in the markets. They say they will purchase a minimum of. Well, that doesn't tell us what the maximum is. It doesn't say what they actually did. So, this move yesterday was, painful. But let's take a look at this in another light. First of all, we've been telling you all along that if you like it, lock it. So none of you who watch this and none of you who coach with me, none of you who pay attention to the posts, was left there with a whole long line of loans or clients floating. And if they did, then it was, sad for them to have made that choice, or bad for you because you didn't explain what was going on. And even that move yesterday, is as big as it was, we're almost used to this type of movement. The other side to that same coin is rates are not much different than where they were. The bond market isn't much different than where it was in the beginning of April, and everybody was doing business. So there are things that are going on that we're facing the facts of this, and it's not all terrible. It's just not all great. And I think we have to face that. Now, the good news is mortgage applications were up last week by more than 4%. Purchases, again, were up 2%. Refinances were up 6%. And despite rates being higher, and despite costs of homes being higher, home ownership is still a great value in the eyes of many people, especially because rents are exploding to the upside. It's more than 5.3% higher than year over year. And more alarmingly, rates were up a full 2% just in the month of May. So when you start correlating the increase in rents versus what the cost is in home ownership, people are still making the determination that home ownership is a place that they want to be. And the demand for homes is still strong. And again, in the face of people who are trying to rent, the rentals on single family detached properties up more than 7%. You just have to run that out in your head into your market, do the math, because this is going out to people in all markets. But look up with a 3 or a 4 bedroom detached house is renting for, and look at a 7% increase in that payment for rent, and translate that into what that gets you in home ownership. And why am I keen on the home ownership piece? Is, well, I'll just give you some very simple facts. In the state of Florida, where I live, we are now at a point where 68% of the people own where they live. 68%. That's a big number. And again, you can look to your own markets, but people are seeing value in owning their homes. So it's really important that you keep focused on your markets and your mission. It's important that you understand that there's going to be a cost to shelter yourself and your family, whether you're renting or you're owning. Both of those things are going higher right now, and there's not anything that anybody's going to do to stop that. But understand that there still is a strong impression in people's minds that buying is a better deal for them than renting, and only you can run the numbers in your market to prove the point. And oh, by the way, pay attention to the fact that yes, we had a kick in rates, but still refinances are still out there to be done. There are plenty of people out there who can seize the opportunity to lower their payment, debt consolidate, do all the other things that are necessary or beneficial by refinancing. So it's a cautionary tale today. It is something that we've talked about. Volatility, we're not strangers to, but pay attention to what's going on, understand the data. You can't shove your head, in the sand and pretend this is not going on. You need to get out in front of the information. You need to follow the information and understand, again, these movements, while certainly impactful, don't change the landscape for most of the people involved. And in fact, it opens the door to opportunities that might not have been there. So again, questions and comments, Mike at imtcoaching.com. We'll talk to you again real soon. Take care.